So just a little bit of context. My name is Sanet. I'm one of the interpreters in the interpreting team. So why are you invited to this meeting? So I might over-explain a few things, and that's because we might refer to certain things in a certain way that you don't. So every faculty has a language implementation plan, and on that they indicate what medium of instruction the module will take. And there are a few options the language policy gives us. There's double medium, which is where you use English and Afrikaans in the same lecture, single medium, where it's only offered in one language, and then there's parallel medium, where you have separate class groups. So we offer interpreting in double and single medium modules, and that is why you were invited. Your modules were included on the list that are indicated as double or single medium. And then in rare cases, we also interpret in parallel medium classes where students might have clashes with their preferred language group, and so we interpret for them in those classes. So what we'll be discussing today is we'll look briefly at how interpreting can be used as a resource for multilingual learning. We'll explain how interpreting works. We'll show you an example of how it sounds. And then we'll also tell you what we need from you and what you can expect. Now, before we start, I'd like to show you a video, and this is a video we had made for our students. So this is a video that you can play at the beginning of your class to explain how interpreting works to your students, or to introduce the concept to them. Unfortunately, on the PowerPoint, the video does not have subtitles, but in the link that we shared with you that is on YouTube, it will have subtitles, and the parts that are in Afrikaans in this video will be covered in the next few slides as well. So let's take a look at the video.
At Stellenbosch University, we pursue a vibrant, authentic and inclusive campus culture. That is why we embrace multilingualism and acknowledge all languages and language varieties. One way we promote this inclusive multilingual culture is with real-time online interpreting, focusing on the three main languages of the Western Cape: English, isiXhosa, and Afrikaans. With real-time online interpreting, you can experience your lectures in English as well as Afrikaans or isiXhosa as they happen.
Ons span professionele opvoedkundige tolke het al binne alle fakulteite aan die universiteit gewerk. Daarom ken ons die konteks en vakspesifieke taal van die onderskeie dissiplines en modules. Van die geesteswetenskappe tot die eksakte wetenskappe, werk ons saam met dosente om seker te maak dat ons vertroud is met die inhoud en op hoogte bly van die korrekte terminologie.
So why use interpreting? Perhaps you'd like a way to bridge the gap from high school to university while integrating unfamiliar English terminology. Or maybe you have chosen a multilingual approach to your studies to prepare yourself for the workplace. It's not about language proficiency or politics, it's a personal and practical choice.
Tolking is gratis vir alle UE-studente. Al wat jy nodig het is oorfone, 'n slimfoon of skootrekenaar met die MS Teams toepassing en 'n internetverbinding. EduRoam werk gewoonlik goed. Skandeer net die QR-kode wat in die klas vertoon word, of sluit op enige tydstip tydens die lesing aan deur die skakel op die Sunlearn-blad van die module.
Not sure whether your module offers interpreting or having trouble accessing the service? Ask your lecturer or contact talkinfo@sun.ac.za for more information or technical support. We look forward to supporting your multilingual learning journey.
Yes, so that video is something, it's about 2 minutes long maximum, that he can show your students, and he can also upload that on Sunlearn for them to give them a little bit more context of interpreting and why multilingualism in the classroom is important. I think an important note about interpreting is that we are not presenting interpreting as an alternative to English. So we're not saying that students need to choose interpreting or Afrikaans or isiXhosa instead of English, but use it as an additional resource because they have various resources available to them like slides and notes, and interpreting is one more resource. So some of the things the video covered in the Afrikaans sections that we'll also just highlight here is that students may use interpreting for various reasons. And I think it's important for us to honor their personal choice, whatever the reason behind that choice might be. So it could be that they understand better and faster in their own language, and that's why they want to hear it in Afrikaans or isiXhosa. It might be they connect better with their mother tongue, so they gain better epistemological or ontological access through their mother tongue. It could be they want to learn the terminology in both English as well as Afrikaans and isiXhosa, so that one day when they work in the industry, they're able to connect with their clients in their subject field. And then it could also be that they would like to take notes more efficiently. So instead of them having to go home and translate their notes or translate their textbooks, they can just take notes in class. The student might also choose to write their exams or assignments in English, but they might still learn better in their mother tongue. And for that reason, they end up using interpreting. What the video also mentioned is that our interpreters have more than 10 years experience interpreting at SU, and we have interpreted in all of the faculties. We do have specialist fields, like I am usually interpreting at EMS or linguistics, and other colleagues have other specialist fields, and they'll talk a little bit about that when we introduce ourselves. We'd like to show you a quick demo, but before I do that, I just want to explain to you what you're about to see. So this demo of interpreting will show you the English lecture and the visuals that go along with that. So how the speech aligns with what is being shown on the board, or in this case, the document camera. Then it's going to show the Afrikaans and how on top of the visuals we are, so the students don't hear the interpreted version way later than the English. They hear it almost at the exact same time. And then you're going to hear a version or see a version that has both the English and the Afrikaans. And it might sound a little bit confusing, but you can just focus at the bottom. You'll see two sound waves, and the colors will show you where the interpreter and the lecturer corresponds. And in that way, you can see how closely the interpreter follows the lecturer and in what way the students are also experiencing it. So let's watch that demo.
So in 2023, the group doesn't want to show any profit. The group wants to show the whole profit in 2024. Do you agree with me? So at the moment, if we just took what S has plus what H has, then we would in 2023 be showing profit of 2,500, because that's sitting in the separate financial records of S. So we want to take this out with our consolidation journal entries from a group perspective.
So in 2023 wil die groep nie enige wins wys nie. Die groep wil die hele wins in 2024 wys. Stem jy saam? So op die oomblik, as ons net vat wat S het plus wat H het, dan in 2023 wys ons 'n wins van 2,500, want dit sit in die finansiële state, die afsonderlike finansiële rekords van S. So ons wil dit uithaal met ons konsolidasiejoernaal inskrywings vanuit 'n groepsperspektief.
So in 2023,
in 2023
the group doesn't want to show
wil
any
die groep
profit.
nie
The
enige
group wants
wins
to show
wys
the
nie. Die
whole
groep wil
profit
die hele
in
wins in
2024. You agree with
2024
me?
wys. Stem jy saam?
So at the moment,
So
if
op
we
die
just
oomblik,
took
as
what
ons
S
net
has
vat wat
plus
S het
what H
plus wat
has,
H het,
then we would in
dan in
2023 be showing
2023
profit
wys
of
ons 'n wins van
2,500, because that's
2,500,
sitting in the
want dit sit in die
separate
finansiële state, die
financial
afsonderlike
records of
finansiële
S.
rekords van S.
So we want to
So ons
take this
wil
out
dit uithaal
with our
met
consolidation
ons
journal entries
konsolidasiejoernaal
from a
inskrywings
group
vanuit 'n
perspective.
groepsperspektief. Yes, you can see how closely the interpreter follows the lecture. So the student has basically the same experience in English and in the interpreted version. So let's get to how to use interpreting. So interpreting is free to the departments. It is paid for by language implementation funding directly from the DVC. So it doesn't go through the department's cost centers at all. The students can use their own devices in the classroom. So we do encourage students, and for you to make it clear that students do need to follow the attendance rules that you have for your module. So they can bring their devices to class, and it's just much less intrusive for them to use their own laptops or cell phones and headphones. We do have, as an interpreting service, some headphones we can give to students if they don't have their own. We don't want a student's ability to have devices or have resources stand in the way of their learning. We don't necessarily advertise it, but if you find that there are students who need earphones, we do have available that we can give to them. Not just loan to them, we can give it to them. We have Bluetooth headphones, over-the-ear headphones, and then also some earphones. And then everything happens online on MS Teams. So we're not in your classroom, so you're not going to hear us. We are online, and you simply click a button on the ELS system, and then we are there. You also don't need to do any admin in terms of setting up meetings. We do all of that for you. And by this point, I think most of them are set up. So just to give you a little bit of a peek behind the scenes. So this is what we see. So we open the Microsoft Teams in two separate meetings. So on the right side, I just added a slide there to make it seem as though it's the lecture. We listen in the English lecture, so the one that you connect us with, the one that goes through the ELS system, that is where we listen. And then we set up a separate Afrikaans or isiXhosa meeting where we then speak into, and that is the link that you can share on Sunlearn for the students, or for which you can show the QR code so that they can listen to the interpreting. But then what you will see is when you walk into the classroom and you have an ELS, then you'll see the meeting already scheduled there on the screen. So it will be there with the time. You can simply click on it, and then you'll see a join button. You click on join, and then you just need to make sure it usually is on, but just make sure that the microphone is turned on and you can see where that is located, and that the screen sharing is also on. We'd like you to make sure that when you are using mics, whatever mics you use, that you are always speaking into the mic, because the ELS doesn't do well picking up background noise or environmental noise. So you do need to speak directly into either the lapel mic that is pinned to your clothing, or into the lectern mic, which is near the document camera, or if it is your style, there's also a roaming mic that you can use. It would be great if you did a sound check just so that we can make sure that we can hear you. But actually, if we cannot hear you, we will speak up. You mostly won't notice us, but then sometimes we will need to speak to you over the ELS, and then it's going to sound like a loud booming voice in the classroom, and we do apologize for that, but we will only do that in emergency situations if we cannot hear you. Then the ELS also does not pick up the student contributions. So for the sake of both us and then also for the students in class, it would be great if you can repeat their contributions. Or if you do have the roaming mic, the students, you can give it to the students and they can speak directly into the roaming mic for everyone in the classroom and for us online to hear them as well. Now, at this point, you will have received your interpreting kit from your liaison interpreter. So we assign a liaison interpreter to module groups, just so that you can have a much easier connection with one person. And in this kit, you'll find various resources. The video that you saw at the beginning is also included in this kit. And we would appreciate it if you played this at the beginning of the class in the first week, or at least in the first lesson. And then also we'll send you a slide with a QR code, or even a QR code for you to print out. But it does really work well if you put the slide with the QR code at the beginning of your slide deck as the students are walking in. It is easily accessible for them. And it also just reminds them that this is a normal part of their learning experience and not something different or unique. Because unfortunately, it is true, because of the status of English, that students might feel a little bit shy about using interpreting, because they might feel that it implies that they don't have the proficiency that their peers have, or they might think that by using interpreting, they're making a political statement. So for the lecturer, with the power dynamic, to show that this is a normal part of teaching, learning, and assessment, the students then also feel more comfortable learning multilingually. We're now going to meet our team, and I'm going to hand over to the team to also just turn on their cameras and say hello. Some of the team are not here this afternoon, and I'll just introduce them after everyone has introduced themselves. So over to Carmen, and we can somewhere do it in the order that you see on the screen.
My name is Carmen Brevis. I've been interpreting in this team since 2012. I usually interpret financial subjects and also law modules. Myself and my partner Renee in the law modules have LLB degrees, so the law faculty prefers that we interpret their subjects. So yeah, for purposes of teaching and learning. So yeah, I've also did research in interpreting, and yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine Joubert. I've been with the team since 2014. I interpret across all, or I have interpreted across all modules, but my focus now mainly falls within the social sciences faculty. I also teach Afrikaans language acquisition at Stellenbosch and at Tygerberg. So that's what mostly keeps me busy.
Hello, Eduard on this side, and apparently in the picture as well, currently sitting representing the language service as well at a little stall at an exhibition. Mostly interpreting in, I've gotten a recent love of agriculture. We had crop production and these things, and that was the first time I started actually seeing, oh, plant propagation, this is how you can do it. So very much a love of agriculture, but then also the social and arts faculties have some excellent stories, and I enjoy interpreting the turns of phrases into another language.
Goedemiddag collega's, everyone. I'm Renee. Like Carmen said, we interpret in the law faculty, and I also interpret for EMS subjects and some humanities. And I actually just came from the Economics 114 winter school, so you don't have to worry, even though it's recess, we are not out of practice.
Okay, so from an interpreting perspective, my name is Sanette. I interpret, as I said at the beginning, mostly EMS subjects. And yes, I also work with the Greater Language Center on the promotion of multilingualism, presenting multilingual workshops to both students and, in some cases, academics as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya. I have also been an interpreter since 2014, across the entire campus, but these days mostly in agriculture and the social sciences.
Perfect. So our colleagues, Chantal and Cornelia and Danette, they're part of the Language Center, but they just help us out part-time. Nanette recently had a baby, so she's still on maternity leave. And then Risha and Asipe, they're some of our external workers that you'll also see around on your team. Then finally, what do we need from you? So as we said at the beginning, there's very little admin involved, but there are a few small things we need you to do. So we'd like to ask that you please upload the link that we shared in the interpreting kit to your SunLearn page, and make sure you unzip that folder that you receive and look inside those documents, what is in there, so that you share share the information in the right way on SunLearn. And then we'd also like to ask that you introduce interpreting in the classroom in the first lesson. Since it is the middle of the year, they probably do know about it, but then there might be some semester modules where they've never come across it. We do recommend that you show the QR code at the beginning of every class and show the video at least in the first lesson. And then we do use preparation materials, so the slides that you prepare for us to prepare, so that even though we do have background knowledge, we make sure that what we say aligns with what is in the slides. So we do typically have access to Sunlearn. This semester we've had a few issues. So if you could share your slides for the first week with us, we would really appreciate that. You can send it to the person who contacted you with the interpreting kit. But then otherwise, if you do upload your slides onto Sunlearn before the class, then we will be able to find that there. That is it from our side. So are there any questions?